to Darby and Friends on 1490 WGCH.
Sunlight Solar Energy is committed to providing you with the highest quality solar electric, solar hot water, and solar pool heating installations for your home or business. They've been designing the best renewable energy systems available for over 20 years and currently work in Connecticut, New York, Massachusetts, and Pennsylvania. Sunlight Solar has a team that offers years of experience, and they can share with you how 2 to 4 panels that look just like skylights can provide 60 to 80% of your annual domestic hot water. Each system is customized to meet your specific needs. Please give their friendly staff a call at 203-878-9123. That's 203-878-9123. Sunlight Solar can provide you with professionally designed clean energy solutions, providing years of energy savings, complete with excellent communication, timely follow-up, and outstanding customer service. So please call Sunlight Solar now at 203-878-9123. 203-878-9123.
Welcome back to Darby and Friends on 1490 WGCH. I have Carolyn Humphreys from Sunlight Solar Energy, and we've been talking about how all the different associated, whether it's just your electricity, hot water, heating your pool, any of these things can be done so much more efficiently and less costly for you. Plus the fact that benefits of decreasing foreign dependency with the use of oil, having less waste, not degrading the environment, no emissions, no solar spills. It's all positive. But how do we get started? What do we do first?
Well, I think the easiest thing to do is to call Sunlight Solar Energy and speak to this lovely human, Rachel, and she'll look at a satellite picture. And the satellite photo shows us not only what direction your roof faces, which is a good place to start. We can't put it on a northern roof. Ideally, you have a south-facing roof. Any degree of southern orientation is perfect. If it's east-west, that's still fine, but east-west with too much shade might deter you. You really want these are not inexpensive, these photovoltaic panels, and you want to make sure that you're going to get your money's worth. So you want adequate sunshine. So once we figure out that you have a decent roof, then we're looking for shade. And when she sees a big, huge tree is casting a big, huge shadow, and it's in the wintertime when we already know the sun is lowest in the sky it's going to be. If you're shaded all winter long, most people aren't shaded in the summer, but you don't want to get half a year's production either. So that's what we're trying to figure out, whether you have a solar site. And then if you do, a system designer is what we call them, because they're the ones who are going to design the system, comes out to your house and they climb on your roof. They make sure they have an exact measurement of what direction it's facing. That's called azimuth. And they use a compass. And they also measure the roof to figure out how many panels they can fit on it. If there are obstructions, they want to measure those too to figure out how to get around them. And then they're going to look at your rafters underneath your roof. And it's not that we weigh the same amount as a row of shingles. So it's very lightweight equipment. But if your roof is already inadequately supported, this is good information. If we say you need to beef up your roof for solar panels, you want to beef up your roof anyway. It's not for the solar panels. In other words, your roof's inadequate. That doesn't happen very often, but we certainly wouldn't, find that out when you've decided you already want to purchase the system. And I've talked to system designers who look at the rafters when they come back to sign the documents. That's not when you want to find that out. So we look at them right up front, and then we check your electrical panel. We need to know, is there a 30 amp breaker, which is usually, what we need for a smaller system. But for a larger system, if you only have a 100 amp panel, you might need to upgrade to a 200 amp panel. And again, if you have a lot of load, you're gonna want to do that anyway, because most people are not using a 100 amp panel anymore. So we just kind of want to make sure that the basic things that we need are in place, and also so that when we come out day of install, there's no surprises. And they're going to talk to you about your energy use, obviously. They're going to talk to you about what are your goals. They're also going to probably ask you a couple of sort of personal questions, like if you're about to start a family or you have 3 teenage children that they don't see, they're about to leave for college, then your use is going to go down. So we need to know certain information just to make sure that we can size that system appropriately. Sometimes it's just how much room do you have. We're going to max out the amount of space you have on that roof. But other times there are a lot of questions to be answered, and other times it's very straightforward. So that's going to be individually determined during that phone call usually.
Another question, where I live, we lose power a lot because, the utility poles are often hit by lightning or a car or who knows what. And so we have put in a generator to be a backup system. Mm-hmm. Do you ever lose power with solar?
You do. When the power goes down, your solar system goes down. So some people will say, oh, this will be so great. But unfortunately, your inverter has to shut down because what you don't want to do is what they call backfeeding into the grid and electrocute a line worker. That would be obviously totally unacceptable. And that's why, because some people say, well, why can't I have it? Well, that's why. So the reality is you can your generator is going to be your less expensive option, but they do have battery backed up systems for people who don't like the noise their generator makes. You know, if you
when it exercises once a week, that was the weirdest thing when they just installed it a couple of months ago. Suddenly, I said, "What's happening?"
Just kicks on.
Well, it has to.
Oh,
otherwise, it freezes up.
Oh, interesting. Well, then you.
It's exercising.
Well, you bring up the reason some people, despite the additional expense of a battery backed up solar system, now that works well here because a battery backup system is only going to store energy for so long. So if you were going to be out of power for a really extensive period of time, you might still want a generator. But if you're if you're down here and it just goes out for periods and comes back on reasonably quickly, a battery backed up system is, as I said, an additional expense, but a nice, clean, and quiet way to not be without power.
Great. Give us again how to get in touch for our listeners who want to find out whether they're eligible for this.
Sure. You can call 203-878-9123. That's 203-878-9123.
Great. And your website?
Is www.sunlightsolar.com.
Marvelous. And you had mentioned to me about, earlier when we were talking, getting an energy audit to find out more about whether you're using the right amount of energy.
Sure. Well, I'm a big fan of those. I mean, you pointed out that your house isn't very old, so it was built within the last 15 years. You probably have, good insulation. Your windows are probably in excellent condition. But for people who live in very old dwellings, which there are plenty of in Connecticut, if your air conditioning bill is, incredible, well, sometimes you're really kind of ACing the outdoors. You have so many leaks, and it's not just around your window. There's a lot of places the energy can escape from your house. Leaky ductwork, big gaps under your doors, things like door sweeps. They change out light bulbs, so if you still have incandescent, a lot of people wait for their incandescent bulbs to go out. Reality is you will save money and the environment by simply replacing all of them before they blow out. And, people worry about the mercury. They were slow to recycle those properly. It's true, but now there are a lot of recycling centers, and you can, recycle your compact fluorescent bulbs more safely, and they save a tremendous amount of energy. They use half of what an incandescent bulb uses, and light emitting diodes, which are on the horizon, LEDs, use 1/8. So, there's really great ways to save energy.
Wow. I'm energized. Thank you so much, Carolyn Humphrey from Sunlight Solar Energy. I appreciate your being here today and talking with us.